Hey class, today I want to talk to you about how to tone paper for your last project for your portrait. Like I was telling you earlier, a portrait can be a self-portrait, it can be a portrait of an animal, portrait of a tree. You know, what makes something important to you? Why is it significant to make it into a portrait? There's many ways you can tone your paper, many different techniques. I use a lot of watercolor. I'm going to use watercolor today. If you don't have watercolor, you can use all kinds of different things to stain your paper with. Anywhere between Kool-Aid, coffee, tea. Coffee and tea make beautiful brown stains. When choosing a color, if you're going to use watercolor, think about things from color theory. Certain colors can do mood, like red's passionate and very hot. For green, when you do something green, it's kind of creepy and stuff. Also, things to think about with your colors that you pick is you don't want something too dark. You want the color to kind of be like either a light or a mid-tone. That way, whenever you go back to draw and on the piece, you have darks, and you can use charcoal, like a white charcoal, or a white colored pencil or white to add in whites that way too, if you make your paper kind of a more of a mid-tone. I'm going to use this turquoise color because I like turquoise. It's one of my favorite colors. Like I said, there's many different ways. I'm going to show you some different ways to do it. If you want to create a tone paper and you want the paper to be completely the same tone, the whole gradient, you need to wet the whole piece of paper first. I recommend, if you have a big brush, to use a bigger brush. By the way, I'm just doing little sheets to kind of give you the idea. Your piece should be 18 by 24. This is some sketchbook paper I have. So watercolor, I want this to be kind of lighter. And I got some already blue on this fancy palette of mine. So this is kind of a light. I might want a little darker than that. And by wetting the whole piece of paper first, it'll help give it an even tone when you go through it. If you don't want an even tone, I'm going to show you how to do that next. So as you can tell, this is kind of light. I want to make it a little darker, but I don't know. So tone paper just adds another dimension to your work. And depending on how you tone your paper, what type of dimension it'll give it. So like I said, a thicker brush works well for this. And I'm just going up and down motion very lightly to make it. I will post pictures of how each of these turns out later on the announcement page. So this one's done. We'll let it dry. Sit over here somewhere. Now, something that could be more interesting to do is to make, that's kind of cool, to make it uneven. Let's see what we got here. It's kind of interesting. Sorry, zoning out. Might keep that, leave that later. So sometimes it's more interesting, it adds more depth if you don't wet it, it won't coat evenly. And that might be something you want to do. So some areas are darker than others. So I'm doing a wash like this. You can make some areas darker and lighter. It can add depth or interesting things to your piece. And you can do like splats. something like that. To add texture or interest if you want to. Or you can just make it more flat. So that is another way you can apply your ground. So this isn't very even, which, like I said, could add interest or depth. Where the other one, as you can tell right now as it's drying, is more even if you want an even tone. So there's other things that you can do too. Use the back. No, better not. So another thing you can do is add salt, and the salt will add a texture too. So I'm gonna lay this down, and when you're doing the salt and whatnot, you might want to make certain it's a little wetter. This is dark enough. When you do the salt, you want the paper a little bit wet if you decide to do this technique. So it will give the salt something to use. I planned on being fancy and putting my salt in there, but I forgot to. Trying to get used to doing online demos. So if you add salt, it's going to create some textures. And a little darker. Make this a little darker so you can see it better at home. This would probably be too dark for a mid-tone. But we'll see what it does when it dries. Usually colors like blue dry a little lighter. Like so. So I'm gonna let this with the salt dry. Put a little bit more salt on that. And then you have to let this dry all the way. So all the way bone dry, and then use a napkin or something to remove it. So I'm gonna let this aside and let it dry. And then I will post pictures of what it looks like when I let it dry. The next technique I want to show you is with alcohol. Give me a minute, because we've got two more things I want to show you. Turn my paper down. So the next trick you need is with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. You use hand sanitizer, but hand sanitizer, you know, it's kind of hard to find right now. So recommend just using rubbing alcohol. And you'll need another paintbrush for this project part if you decide to do something with rubbing alcohol. So you put the colors down, the paint down that you're using, and you want it kind of liquidy, like so. And then you dip your other brush like so in rubbing alcohol, and you can do dots, touch the paper. Hopefully you can see it right here's a dark area. You can touch it or flick it on there, and when you flick it or touch it, the paint kind of moves away. So let's do some down here. It's kind of darker. So you can do that, and you can kind of flick it and do different things, and it'll make white areas and stuff where you do that. So like it does cool splotches and stuff. So that's another way to create a texture piece of paper. The last thing I want to show you that you could use you can use more than one color. You can use 2 or 3 if you want to. I don't recommend doing over 3 colors. I really would recommend using over 2. So you can use 2 different colors. I'm gonna grab another paint. I just saw this. Give me a second. What color should we use? What's a good color? It goes with blue. If you know anything about the color wheel, if not, you should look it up. You know, the primary opposite color of blue is orange. So orange might be a good thing. Blue and orange. I'm going to use blue and this turquoise color and yellow. This is a washable surface, so I'm just going to put my paint on the surface. Being a little naughty. So there's this, and a little bit of my blue. Probably was not a great idea to do this, but whatever. So I do like this. Get the blue here at the top. And then I can make it drag down or lighter with another paintbrush. So if I use this paintbrush and start down here with the clear water and bring it up, I can drag it, and usually it will make like a puddle, but it's being a little fidgety because, you know, that's the way demos are. Demos don't always work like they're supposed to. There it goes, it's starting to drag down now. So you can push it down and it'll help make kind of like an interesting gradient. And then use a little bit of this yellow. Won't be super yellow because of this water, but I can do yellow down here. And clear water to help it kind of puddle and meet in the middle to create like a green. I want it to be. Well, there you have it. And you could do other things to this. I'm gonna put a little salt on this, see what the salt does on this too. So I'm going to let this dry and these others dry, and I'm going to upload this video for you. So if you have any questions, my students, please let me know. So again, with the salt, you let it dry all the way, bone dry, before you remove the salt. And to remove the salt, you use, I use either a paper towel, some type of rag, and you just rub over it. But it has to be all the way dry or it'll smudge and do funny things. And yeah. So I will post what these look like, so it gives you some idea, and we'll see what y'all come up with for your portrait. I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm going a little crazy being stuck home, but it is what it is. Well, I will talk to you soon. Take care, my class, and bye.